Hey friends, Christmas Eve, I figured I would choose an appropriately Christmassy backdrop. Somehow I couldn't face just doing another post for you with the amorphous white wall behind me in my office. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas Eve. And something that's been kind of remarkably consistent over the last couple days as we've been rolling into the holiday and kind of, everybody's reflecting on the new year and getting, taking stock of where we've been and where we might be wanting to head next. I've gone through this process with several students now of just, without even really trying to, we've just begun a reflection upon this past year. A lot of these students who've become good friends I've been working with for just about a year, some of them a little bit less, but some of them almost exactly a year. And so we're looking at what has happened this year? What have we done? Where are we now as a result of the decisions we've made this year and as a result of the intentions we kind of set at the beginning of this process? And where have we landed a year later, and what does going forward look like? And I think, if I do that process for myself, which of course has kind of been also happening in tandem with my friends and students and people who are in dialogue with me, my major takeaway, I have a couple big ones of the year, but my major one is that the ways that I've been investing in, for lack of a better word, inner work or spiritual work, the fact that I really put that at the number one priority spot, that happened a little over a year ago, I guess, but I've now seen kind of what 1 year of that feels like. And it's a remarkable feeling, because at the same time as I have some, it's kind of like it doesn't change the fact that there's stuff that's going well in my life and stuff that's not going so well, right? Or things that I celebrate and feel like this is really, everything's on track, everything feels great. And then there's stuff where I'm like, I really still am struggling with this, or I'm still, even though I've adopted a perspective where I know this isn't a problem, I know it's actually serving me, I still fall into the trap of feeling like it's not, or, I have both. I have the light and the dark, I suppose, is what I'm saying. But around all of that, there's a sense of a kind of faith, of a sense that this is all for a purpose, right? Whether it's the light stuff, whether it's the not so attractive stuff, the stuff that I love that I'm addicted to, or the stuff that I'm avoidant of, or the stuff that I'm simply present with. I would say that a year of really kind of putting spiritual work in the number one priority slot has brought me to a place where I'm more able to just accept all of it. I don't have to like all of it. I don't have to be equally at peace with all of it, but I can accept all of it. There's something really that I found really powerful about what I was reading, and I've mentioned this in the last day or two of my post. When I read the Alice Walker chapter in Drama of the Gifted Child, she talks about when you're young, and if your needs are met when you're young, then anything you feel is actually okay. Like, you can feel feelings like fear or sadness or anger or frustration, all these emotions, and some of the emotions that as adults we tend to sort of try and minimize. Nobody wants to feel angry, right? We don't go around cultivating anger. We go around cultivating surrender and joy. But all feelings at an early age are all valid, and learning to feel them all and not judge them, not need certain feelings to be more prominent and other feelings to be less prominent, or certain feelings to be the ones that promise love and other feelings to be the ones that are, that we're trying to run away from, or that we're just that aren't even online because they're sort of being suppressed. All of it, the whole gamut, is actually there for us to be able to receive. It's there for us to be able to work with, and the key to it all is that when we're young and we're getting what we need, they come and go. Those feelings we don't get hung up on anger or frustration or whatever it is. We just let it happen, and it moves through us and it moves on. And I think that's the sense in which I feel like I'm expanding into a greater sense as an adult of how to do that, how to let all feelings kind of just happen, not cling to certain ones as much, and not repel or avoid other ones. Obviously, as if you've seen the last week or two of my post, that this is an imperfect science, because literally like 5 days ago I was talking about being addicted to a feeling, and that's also true. That's also a tendency. But the fact is, by seeing that, by bringing in awareness to it, I'm beginning to release that pattern. Does it mean that I can poof instantly at the drop of a hat just shut it down and let it and immediately dissolve into bliss-like surrender? Not every day, let's say, but I'm gaining a measure of capacity. I'm gaining a measure of distance from that pattern, and I'm thereby kind of learning to let it go, to let that pattern happen. And even that pattern doesn't have to be a problem, right? Even the fact that I am kind of addicted to a feeling doesn't have to be a problem, because if I can make that not a problem, then I'm no longer afraid to look right at it. If I make it a problem, then inwardly I start to not want to see it. I start to want to see one thing and not want to see other things. And once I start that, then my focus starts to go where I think, where my ego thinks it's going to get it, what it's going to feel good to look at. Like, which parts of myself are going to feel good to look at. It's going to start looking at those parts. I'm going to start avoiding the parts of myself that don't feel so good to look at. And as we all know, that doesn't really work long term. You can get away with that for a while, but long term, it's gonna catch up, right? There's no hiding from it. There's no running from it. And so I think one of the things that's coming through on Christmas, on Christmas Eve, is just a sense that a sense of faith and a gratitude for that faith, because that's what allows everything. That's the thing that can take something unpleasant and completely absorb it and allow it to be whatever it is and not need to change it. And put the priority on being conscious, being awake, being present to what is, not on being I'm feeling the emotion that I'm trying to feel, you know. And I see it, you know, when I watch Annalise. Oh man, she has powerful emotions, powerful emotions. They take hold of her entire body. It's like watching an emotion come to life. It's almost like there's a movie called Inside Out. Inside Out. It's a Disney Pixar film about a young girl, but the actual characters are the different emotions in her mind, and they're really well done. So the emotions are like these embodiments of that feeling, and that's what that's what Annalise looks like when she's in joy. Her whole body from head to toe is in joy. When she's angry, from head to toe she's angry. When she's sad, when she's curious, when she's happy, it possesses her, and then it moves on. She moves to the next one. I'm always amazed at how she can feel like an incredibly powerful. Sometimes it's, you know, anger. She'll get a flash, and then within 30 seconds, it's like it didn't happen. It's like she's just moved. It's like it happens, moves through the system, and moves on. And, you know, I mean, talk about, you know, our children becoming our teachers. That's so much. That's such a lesson for me as an adult, and for us as adults, I think. Because emotions are not the attachment to them. You know, emotions are just the emotion itself. It's all of our baggage that makes us think, oh well, anger means we're holding on to something or whatever. You know, there's a we can get real convoluted, but I'm just so grateful for all the various ways over the past year that I've seen students and friends open into new areas of themselves. And, you know, I said this to at least one student today, but it's been such a journey for me. You know, I've really entered into teaching in a new way over the past year or so, a little more than a year, but really the past year has been a big step. And watching what people have done, watching where people have gone, watching how they've evolved over the year, and how they've allowed me as the person kind of guiding them, whether it's music or some kind of creative work, to also evolve and to be where I am, and to evolve in the ways I need to in order to serve them, in order to teach, and in order to guide and be the reflection that they've needed. It's just been such a beautiful year. And I had not quite begun this post 1 year ago. I started this post on January 4th. So January 4th is coming right up. That's going to be the 1 year mark. And I was saying I've said this several times to various people over the last couple weeks, but I'm very clear that this post is going to continue, because there's something, you know, even as I get pulled into something like this arranging job that I've had, which is now sort of slowly, I'm kind of through the thick of it. There's more to go, but I'm through the kind of the heat of the battle. Even as I get pulled into things like that, I come to this post every day, and I'm here with you. I'm present. It brings that space of faith, that space of what's really real. It brings me back to reality for at least 12 to 15 minutes a day. it's like the even no matter how upset and whether I've been working 10 hours sitting at the computer just going, completely getting dragged into something, for this period I'm that even that falls into a context where something so much larger is actually going on, and something a far more profound conversation is taking place. And so I have you all to thank for that, for being in the conversation with me. I'm grateful to myself, to my authentic self, that I have had this practice and maintained it for a year, because, man, I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea where it was going to take me, or even really why I chose the time frame of a year. It was just an intuitive leap, and it has turned out to be, maybe one of the most valuable things I've ever done, one of the most valuable practices I've ever had. So thank you for being part of this with me. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I will see you tomorrow on Christmas Day. Love you. Good night.